Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the TV Pilot's License Flight Number 12 with service to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. We ask that you please fasten your headphones at this time, secure your podcasting device, and remember that if you connect to our in-flight Wi-Fi, you will have access to our full library of international elected officials playing a variety of sports, including tennis, jai-alai, cricket, and shuffleboard for your entertainment.
Welcome to the TV Pilot's License. My name is Jeff Kurbis with Rich Inman and Max Singer. That was definitely the first time that I said that intro. We never said anything else, and if you say to the otherwise, you were lying. How are you boys doing?
Oh, you're sounding like a politician already, Jeff.
I mean, I was born for this.
I am absolutely great. I spent almost zero time watching this episode, so I'm super excited about that. I've never had less notes, and I'm ready to go.
I, on the other hand, am absolutely wired on cold brew coffee, and I've never had more notes.
Great, the Google Doc is insane right now.
Yeah. So for those who could not tell by my flawless introduction, today we are talking about 1600 Penn.
Or, as I like to call it, Penn 16.
Oh my God. This show, if you are looking for it, can be purchased on a variety of different platforms for about $1.99 for the first episode, and came out around in 2012. But if this is your first time joining us, welcome. But Max, give the folks a little bit of an understanding of what we do here.
Absolutely. So here at TV Pilot's License, we break down and analyze the pilot episodes of some of the most famous or infamous shows in TV history. We figure out what made these shows successful, how they got greenlit, if we're inspired to keep watching them, and if they can be made today. If it's your first time aboard with us, we've got a bevy of episodes already wherever you find your podcasts, and we hope you stick around for future flights. Welcome aboard.
Excellent. And Rich, I know you have one. What's your question of the week, my man?
So as a child of the 90s with some extremely liberal parents, I got caught up in the premier TV shows depicting the White House and government, like The West Wing and things like that. And this is a pretty wide right turn from there. So I'm wondering, after you guys watch this, do we deserve a government, and do we need one at all? Your thoughts?
How libertarian of you. What a great question.
So I will just say, as a child of the 90s with fairly liberal parents, we owned not one, but 2 copies of the Michael Douglas Annette Bening film, The American President, on DVD on our shelf.
And how has that shaped your view of government?
I believe that Michael Douglas should be the president, despite some of his more contrarian views on certain issues.
So personally, I think we would be much better off if our American government was similar to that of the Broadway musical 1776, where all of our founding fathers just sing the entire time.
They talk a lot about slavery in that show, Jeff.
Yeah, no, the show, yes, but I'm talking about the musical. Very excited for the new version of that just debuted on Broadway this season. But
are you ready, Rich? Are you excited for a new version of the musical 1776?
Yeah. They sing in that one. It's not about the bicentennial, which was pretty sweet. It's about the original thing.
Yeah, no, it's not about the Philadelphia 76ers and Dr. J. Julius Erving.
I would pay so much to watch a Joel Embiid musical. I'm putting that out there in the ether. Joel Embiid. God. Call me. I have big ideas. So
big man can sing.
So let's talk a little bit about 1600 Penn. Rich, thank you for that question.
You're welcome.
President Gilchrist and his trophy wife are living in the White House with their overachieving daughter sidetracked by pregnancy, a couch potato hopeless son, a genius young son, and an odd middle school girl. This is the most problematic synopsis we have ever talked about, and there are so many problematic shows we have done pulled straight from IMDb. Max, tell me how this train wreck became a possibility.
One man's train wreck is another man's treasure. We're going to get into this. So 1600 Penn premiered on NBC on December 17th, 2012 as a mid-season replacement. You know you're off to a good start when your pilot airs the week before Christmas and then immediately
Oh
takes a
my
break.
god. What? The week before Christmas?
Yeah, Rich, I like to sit down with my family and watch an episodic sitcom about the first family during
It's like
the Christmas
saying-
season.
It's like having your pilot episode come out like the hour after the Emmys and stop airing.
Yeah, the Emmys are your lead-in for the next Emmy cycle. But anywho, 1600 Penn was created by a trio, John Lovett, who you may know as
Friend of the pod?
Friend of the pod, part of the Crooked Media, Pod Save America, Love It or Leave It family, former Barack Obama speechwriter, Jason
And Hillary
Weiner, Jason Weiner, who was a exec and the director of the pilot episode of Modern Family, as well as Josh Gad, former Daily Show writer and correspondent, probably best known for his role as Elder Cunningham in the Book of Mormon, which he was Tony nominated for.
And Frozen. He was also in Frozen.
Not at this point.
Yeah, this Frozen was a little bit later.
Right. Oh, I thought we were talking about from now. How would we know Josh Gad right now?
Yes, I mean, as of right now, you would probably know him just for Frozen.
Famously, to hide Walt Disney's Frozen corpse on Google.
So we're going to have to take it back a little bit further in this show to get to 1600 Penn. And before we can talk about this show's Modern Family, we have to actually talk about the show Modern Family.
Okay.
Oh, can
So-
we just talk about Modern Family, please?
No.
No. In fact, you just pushed that episode a whole year down the road.
No, that's so unfair. I'm going to
So-
have a talking head just to talk about that.
Will you let me talk about Josh Gad, goddammit? So Josh Gad had originally auditioned for the role of Cameron Tucker in Modern Family, a role that was famously portrayed by Eric Stonestreet. And according to Jason Weiner, who I mentioned directed the pilot, Gad was screen testing and came very close to booking this role before he dropped out to do the Broadway run of Book of Mormon. Gad had been involved in workshops for that musical since 2008. It famously did not even do an off-Broadway run. It just went straight to the Eugene O'Neill Theater when it then dominated the Great White Way.
Go see it. That's good.
The great show.
Even with Gad dropping out, him and Weiner remained friends over the years, and they're looking for this mutual desire to find a project to do together. The two wanted to create what they called a bowl in a china shop character to basically highlight Josh Gad's physical comedy chops. And Gad ends up being inspired by former Alaskan Governor Sarah Palin's dysfunctional family.
What?
And they decide that the biggest china shop they can come up with is the White House.
I
You're
gotta
right.
go. I gotta go.
Yeah, Jeff gave a lot of money to Palin's campaign back in the day, so he won't stand for any slander right now.
You guys, she has supervision. She can see Russia from her house. I'm done. Thank you so much. I'll see you all later.
So Weiner and Gad start developing this show centered around a dysfunctional first family of the United States. Weiner, through Modern Family, now has an overall deal with 20th Century Fox, and they are introduced to John Lovett, who had just signed a script deal with the network. Lovett, before working in the White House, was actually an aspiring comic. He had done stand-up in D.C. He ended up running a lot of jokes for White House Correspondents' Dinners during his time working in the Obama administration, and even won a celebrity comedy contest at the D.C. Improv.
Oh.
So Lovett gets introduced to Weiner and Gad. He's very adamant that he doesn't want to work on political comedy. He had told Washington Post that he had left because he wanted to be able to finally write in his own voice. But once kind of hearing their pitch, he realizes it's a show about family, not so much about politics. And they bring him on board to write this script, even though at this point Lovett had no actual produced writing credit experience. So all of a sudden, Lovett is an executive producer, co-creator of an NBC sitcom along these two red-hot names in the industry. The show was originally not picked up by NBC, and it wasn't until Gad agreed to not only produce and co-write, but to star in it, that they gave it a mid-season replacement spot. Funny in this time frame, though, is also that in a 12-month span, we get 1600 Penn, Veep, House of Cards, and Political Animals on USA. So 2012, beginning of 2013, is this really interesting boom in political first family inspired TV.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on like why we see this huge rush in this 1 year or not.
Yeah, 100%. I think personally, I was thinking about this during like while watching the show because there are certain moments that it has to be so sappy that you can tell they wanted to write Veep, but they couldn't because of the network that it was on. But I think specifically for the this boom is we were kind of disillusioned by the Oval Office from how poorly George Bush was doing and how poorly he was received. I think a lot of people, especially people that consume comedy or like really enjoy sitcoms in general, kind of like let their bodies relax a little bit when Obama won his second term. And I think right now is where we feel like a collective, okay, we can breathe, we can make fun of things. It's not punching down if we have the president be an idiot because, if we do that, while things are really turbulent in the White House, then all of a sudden, people are actually mad at what you're joking about because people are actually getting hurt by their policies. But I think Obama and that whole term, was kind of middling enough that was a decent enough personality that they could really take some swings and chances on that.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. I was thinking back, I was watching a show that I really enjoyed, Dairy Girls, and they make mention of the Clinton White House in a really beautiful episode. But I was thinking to myself of when was the last time that a American president was celebrated by everyone around the world? And I had some trouble with that. And then I said, there was a time where the Obamas were sort of in that realm of sorts. And 2012 was a time that felt almost safe to make fun of the White House in a variety of ways. And we would never think of, in the 90s of making fun of Chelsea Clinton. Geez, you would be roasted. SNL
A lot of people did, though.
Yeah.
She was under a lot of scrutiny for physical look. She endured a lot of sexism during the Clinton administration. So, yeah, there's always a magnifying glass. The way that the Bush girls were made out to be these, party animals and the way they were viewed. Family in general, you think about someone like Billy Carter, even in the 70s, Jimmy Carter's little brother, who was viewed as sort of this party boy, kind of trash. He had his own label of beer while his brother was the president. Billy Beer, yeah.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, boys, is it safe to say that this pod today is going to save America?
Yeah, but we're going to have to really lower the bar.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's kick things off.
Let's do it.
Let's do so with a rousing pep-up speech. In a scene that wildly I found sort of familiar for the three of us, not for the reasons that you think. None of us started a fire in a frat house, but we have all witnessed
I'm so glad we had that on record.
We've all witnessed a fight in the front yard of a fraternity house where
Sure have.
half of the men just seem to be shirtless, and that is how we meet Josh Gad's character Skip, aka Meatball, as the Secret Service calls him.
Yeah, a completely amazing code name for that. I mean, you get a lot of really funny code names in like the West Wing and stuff like that. It's just like side bits. But having Meatball as a code name is just like, oh, so perfect, so Belushi, so Jack Black.
Was I the only one who thought that this rousing speech to begin the cold open was really reminiscent of Bill Pullman's Independence Day speech?
Copy paste.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I do think that like when I saw it, I was like, oh. It reminded me almost a little bit of like Revenge of the Nerds sort of thing. Like we were supposed to get this idea of like this is Josh Gad. My first question when seeing Josh Gad on a college campus is, how old is Josh Gad's character supposed to be? Is he a man in his mid-30s trying to pass off as a college student? But then I also had to think, Meatball is a great name. What would your code names be?
Ooh.
Oh, man.
By the Secret Service.
Peaches. No explanation. Peaches.
Also, going food-based, I think I'd be String Bean.
Slim Jim.
I'm going with I'm going canonical. I'm Kugel. Kugel.
We have Kugel in the pan. We have Kugel in the pan.
Kugel is in the oven.
I do really like, though, this Josh Gad skip opening, rousing, rally the troops. It's it's Revenge of the Nerds. It's the slobs versus the snobs from Caddyshack. But more than I love his battle cry, I love the little interjections about the frat guy's hair from Carr and Sony as one of the guys on the lawn.
It's so good. It's so good. Max, you messaged us while you were watching this, and you said, "God help me, I have been laughing at the show." I had to imagine that was when that started, when he was when one of them admits that he still loves his girlfriend that just broke up with him. It's he still loves her.
Oh yeah, say that Michael still loves her. Just the gentle whisper of Carr and Sony going, "Their hair looks so effortless the second time." This, apart from the absolutely nauseating crane shot that opens this scene, it's actually a pretty funny cold open to me.
I had to check 3 times that it was actually the pilot episode, because it starts so abruptly with almost no... There's one, maybe 1/8 of a second still image of an American flag, and then bam, you're just Josh Gad on a college campus.
Yeah, it's definitely expecting us to just buy into, you almost feel okay, Josh Gad is the main character of this show. 100%. That is what we are led to believe. And as soon as he's picked up by the Secret Service, we go into a chaotic press conference that I will say this. I think the American people have gotten a lot more used to what press conferences are like for the White House over the past 6 years for certain reasons. But this was oh yeah, I expect these to be questions by Peter Ducey or some other character or news person in this instance.
They actually gave a lot more respect to the News Corps than we've come to completely lose over the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm glad that we're still in the post CJ Craig level of expecting a competent person in the newsroom.
So instead we get the smart-talking Marshall Malloy, played by Andre Holland, who, God, if anybody benefited from this show's cancellation, it was Andre Holland.
What did he do after this?
So immediately from this, he goes on to play a supporting role in Selma. He stars as one of the leads in Moonlight. He stars in The Nick alongside Clive Owen. From that, he does Steven Soderbergh's High Flying Bird. He did that Damien Chazelle Netflix show that nobody watched called The Eddy. He was in Passing last year. This guy has become such a big name in the drama world. And yeah, good for him. Good for him. Because he could have been doing Marshall Malloy for 7 seasons.
Yeah. Friend of the pod, Andre.
One of the themes of this pilot is there is so much happening in the pilot all at once. While yet, Rich, nearly minutes ago, described it as a long YouTube video.
Yeah. Let's define how much is actually going on, because there's a lot of kind of low stakes interpersonal conversations happening alongside a somewhat crucial practice tennis match with the president of Brazil. I mean, there's an awful lot happening, but with almost no stakes, and then huge stakes for nothing.
Yeah, and in the midst of all of this, while the press conference is going on, we find out that there is the First Lady, Emily, who's played by Jenna Elfman, is dealing with a one of those First Lady sponsored events. Usually, for those who don't know, the First Lady normally has a mission or something that they're super passionate about that they focus on. Michelle Obama was getting America fit. For Melania Trump, it was Be Better.
Be best.
It was Be Best.
Be excuse me. I must be best. So during that, though, we get like a small little picture into her. She has all these questions of being a trophy wife that she is trying to very coyly answer, while also having rage issues. But someone is missing from this event, and it is the president's daughter, Ms. Perfect, aka Becca, played by Martha McIsaac.
I want to address like the part of the trophy wife controversy. So obviously, like they do a good job of explaining her own bona fides in this particular part of the when she's on the brink of yelling at a child. But I've never seen a synopsis of an episode include an inside joke from the episode before, because that is not like I don't think a lot of people would assume she's a trophy wife, right? Based on her own bona fides.
Yeah, like that's the wild part is not only do we talk about how she's a trophy wife, they also talk about like, oh yeah, Becca, spoiler alert, is pregnant. And like it's just such a, if you told me that John Lovett wrote that synopsis and approved it, I would tell you you're full of shit.
Yeah.
That was someone at the network who was like, what do we have here? What's funny about this show? And it's like, oh, teen pregnancy is super duper funny. Like, let's throw that in here.
Oh God.
Absolutely. Jenna Elfman snapping at a first grader that trophies aren't just pretty, they denote accomplishment is a very very like I'm at the end of my rope kind of line delivery from her.
That's a Lovett joke. The pregnancy one, however, is I believe that was kind of forced on him.
From here, we sort of get the idea of their first family isn't all that perfect, as we've seen two of the children, one commit arson.
He didn't commit arson. He acknowledged that fire was the common enemy between them and the frat boys. They were trying to work together.
Look, not everyone can be as perfect as our former first family, Jared Kushner and Ivanka.
Oh my God. Well, we do get a scene in the Oval Office, and sort of like a family reunion, right? Becca goes to the Oval Office. We see Josh Gad's best Bill Pullman impression. Spoiler alert, Bill Pullman once again reprises his role as the president of the United States.
Dude was just born to run. He was born to be in the fight.
For the first time since Independence Day. And boy, is this president a lot less inspiring.
Yeah, it had been 16 years since America saw Bill Pullman played president. They were just clamoring to see him restore our nation's trust.
Well, see, now I'm glad we're going to have to wait another 20 years for him to play it, because both of our last presidents have been in their, like, mid-120s.
But during this, we get, like, an accidental family reunion. We get to meet everyone. We've met Jenna Elfman. Jenna Elfman's character of Emily. We get Becca. We get Skip. We meet the twin, or I don't even know if they're twins, Marigold and Xander. And then we get...
That's where I know her from. I know her from Dharma and Greg. Shout out to all my Dharma heads out here.
Yeah, famous sitcom.
I love Dharma and Greg.
Actress, Jenna
Elfman.
Yeah, and then we have them all together, and we sort of do... I want to lightly say this. We get an idea of why Skip is how Skip is. And just seeing the relationship with his father. His father is a toxically masculine man. Like, let's just put it out there and say he's
former
like,
Marine.
Yeah, he's very much... I don't need to... That was one of the interesting things that I took from this, is like, do we know what political party Bill Pullman is in and Dale Gilchrist is, like, representing? Like, I sort of have an idea, but at the same time, the show did a really good job of, like, not putting a name to it, you know?
Yeah, they have a lot of, like, very vague things that seem to be happening there. They also... It was also just, like, kind of, like, a jarring thing to see a white president when Obama was in office. I definitely remember watching this... I definitely remember watching this, and I did just look it up as well. Bill Pullman is currently 11 years younger than Joe Biden is right now, so we will need to be waiting another decade plus for him to play the president again.
This scene, though, might have been when I texted you guys that I was laughing. I really like Josh Gad behind the desk here. His entire thing where he's imitating his dad, saying that he's appointed Skip to be chief astronaut, and the line of like, "You must accept it for the nation." And these ladies, like, there's just so many dim-witted comments. I'm sorry.
It's so stupid.
Him not figuring out how to be able to like cross his legs behind the desk and then the complete flop over the couch when he gets asked to sit down are delightful. And
oh man. And who do they remind you of, Max?
There's a lot that you could say about Josh Gad, but it's like he is a very talented physical comedian who puts his body to a lot of things. I think he's been misaligned in a lot of stuff since Mormon, but like I'm watching this and I don't know, I think it's really dumb. I laughed a lot. It's really funny. You get the Belushi Animal House like 7 years of college joke in there.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah. We do learn that Josh Gad, I had my question answered. Skip is 25 years old. Skip is the oldest looking 25-year-old I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he 100% is.
He's had a rough time at whatever school he is going to. But we do learn a little bit more about what's going on, right? There's this South American trade deal that is hinging on the vote of the Brazilian representative, in this case, that the president beat painfully in a highlight match. That, we'll talk about that because supposedly this is not the first sports endeavor they've done. It is not going to be the last one because there's a tennis match that this is all hinging on.
As with most international trade deals.
Yeah, I remember the Trump polo match that really made certain that we had lower oil prices.
Yeah, when Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev bowled together, that really...
That's a legendary match. I heard Reagan bowled at 270, and it's the only thing he spoke about till his deathbed.
Joe Biden hosting currently his lube wrestling match in the Rose Garden.
Hey, listen here, Jack.
We do get in this moment one of my favorite Josh Gad lines as well, when he's talking to his sister Becca of so much history in the Oval Office. Roosevelt, Superman.
Like, there were some banger jokes in this show. Like, there were some moments where I was just like, yeah, I have to laugh at this. But, like, one of the things that just seemed off was sometimes during this show, I almost was like, this seems like it's a multicam sitcom, but it's not. It's a single cam. And, like, one of the things that it felt like was, oh my god, they're trying to be Modern Family without talking heads. And it makes complete sense of, like, who made this show. But it just missed the authenticity to be, like, that's what makes Modern Family so beautiful, is you can relate to that family in, like, the oddest way, even if your family looks nothing like them.
Who made this show? Do you mean the president of NBC?
You get out of here.
You can't cancel me yet.
But, like, as muffins for setting a fire, I'm just on my game pronouncing today. We find ourselves with Skip doing a fire safety promo, basically, for the White House, using a teleprompter. This was a scene that got me to giggle a little bit, because I think Josh Gad just tore this apart.
There is a line reading in here that Josh Gad absolutely demolishes, which made me laugh so hard when Press Secretary Marshall Malloy tells him, all you need to do is read, Skip, and Josh Gad responds, no, I want to do so much more.
That was you trying to get your English degree, Max.
It's such a dumb joke, and then, yes, I admit, I absolutely laugh at him calling Malloy Marshall Mathers.
I actually had to go IMDb and make sure that wasn't the character's name when he did that.
Listen, plot is maybe not this pilot's strongest suit, but there's a really, really high clip of jokes in it, which I do appreciate.
Yeah, and during this fire safety filming, there literally was a moment where he starts another fire in the most magical way possible. Just
leaving a suit jacket on a lamp.
yeah. And I immediately was like, oh no, you can't leave a suit jacket on a lamp.
I also just love Gad going rogue and trying to improvise away from the teleprompter. There's the line, "You may know me from such things as the White House," which is such like a "Hi, I'm Troy McClure"
I know.
line.
Oh my God.
Oh God, it was so perfect.
But Skip starts another fire. I did love one of the timing bits that the show got right, was using the press conferences is almost like exposition of like what would happen in the normal White House, and seeing Marshall's character be like, yes, there was another fire, and Skip apologizes, and they say, for which fire?
Oh my God. Oh my God! Wait, is that that's when? Okay, that had my favorite line of the whole show, which was Marshall asking if we could talk about literally anything else, and one of the reporters saying, "Not likely."
But after the second press conference, we find out that Xander and Marigold got in a fight. Emily and Becca obviously don't get along, right? We have to do that stereotypical, the stepmom does not get along with the stepchildren in this instance. And we find out, oh, hey, it's because they don't one of them likes a girl and the other one got upset about it. There's some more behind that. But it did give us, it tried being a big keyword with the show to establish, the relationship between those two characters in some way, because they're both very talented actresses. I want to say that out loud. The actress who plays Becca was in Greek and played such a good character in Greek, and then I just see her in this and I'm like, what happened? And Jenna Elfman is sort of a legend within sitcoms as a whole.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm a self-proclaimed Darmaniac.
I think this suffers from an issue that a lot of pilots bump into, where it's hard to figure out the relationships between characters right off the bat. It's very rare that you immediately have your first 21 minutes and you know how everything circles together and works together between characters. Individually, I like a lot of these components, but it does leave you wondering, are they going to find footing? Are they going to find new directions? Because sometimes it does take a show a little bit of a while to get going, to grease the wheels, to find out how pieces start to connect.
Yeah, one of the things, I watched this with my partner, Alex, and she said something super interesting, and she was like, it's almost like there's too many storylines going on at once. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the big differences between this and Modern Family. Usually Modern Family, other than the pilot, focuses on one issue and how it infects the entire family with a couple of B and C plots here and there. This just was let's make it as chaotic as possible and just pack it in.
Well, I think that's because a lot of the jokes, and while there's a ton of jokes, they're individual character jokes. They're things that heighten one character in particular. They're not necessarily jokes that advance a plot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, talking about advancing the plot, Bill Pullman pulls aside Spike, or Josh Gad, I'm just going to refer to the actors now, and says,
Spike?
Skip. I want him to be Spike now.
It's Spike Gilchrist.
Spike Gilchrist is definitely the department.
It's a Sons of Anarchy character.
But he pulls aside Skip and he says, "Hey, you got to find your spark. That is what you have to do. You remind me a lot of your mother. Your mother was this same energetic person who lit up the room. Find your spark." And
a perfect thing to tell someone who has committed accidental arson twice.
But there was really I liked the tennis match. I thought that the tennis match had some great jokes thrown in of the kid in the wheelchair visiting the White House as his wish, and then Skip literally being just, I need one more person to commit to this cheer, and then get that. I lost my mind. I was this is great. That scene was just giving Josh Gad so much. And the other thing I have to call out, I need the actor's name really quickly, but the actor who plays the Brazilian president, Enrique Despot, aka
that's Miguel Sandoval.
The one-liners they gave him to just trash the United States.
Oh, so good.
These are all John Lovett lines.
Those
Absolutely,
were so
every single DeSoto
funny,
line.
and yet I just wanted so much more of that in this pilot as a whole. But Skip inspires his dad to win the tennis match that he has agreed to throw in order to try to get this trade deal to go on. And it's one of those weird things because it's like, hey, President Gilchrist, you were fully in charge of throwing this match and you chose not to, but you're mad at your son now, and Skip is depressed. But before we move on, like anything else about the tennis match, I was delighted during this scene. I wish this entire show was just this scene.
You mentioned the DeSoto one-liners in here, him trash-talking President Gilchrist by saying, "I'm about to do to you what China did to your manufacturing sector," is a very fun line. And then
borderline horny.
After the match where Skip and Marshall shake hands, and Skip then like forces Malloy's other arm to try and hug him.
Oh God. Yeah, I really did like this. It's so bizarre now that we used to like actually care about the president's physical fitness enough that like we could have a president playing a tennis match. Like, imagine Trump doing anything but golf. Imagine Biden doing anything but golf. Like, you know, Obama used to play basketball in the garden all the time. Like, Bush throughout like the several first pitches, which were
player. His dad was a college baseball player. John Kerry almost got elected president and was an avid windsurfer. Like these are like we used to be into this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Gerald Ford played football at the University of Michigan. I think just in general, there was for a long period of time a desire to see the American president in these like social circles. You know, obviously like Clinton playing the saxophone at Arsenio Hall was this like touchstone moment of the 90s. We want to see them in these relatable capacities. We find that through sport and entertainment. And I think that President Gilchrist is a throwback to that type of like American ideal that we want to see from our leader.
Calvin Coolidge pitched a perfect game in the World Series. We used
to be obsessed with the fact that Barack Obama was like pretty good at basketball, like low key, and like played at his brother-in-law I think was the assistant coach at Duke, and he played at Duke for a little bit. Like
the Obama like NCAA tournament picks being like a big deal special on ESPN every year.
And then Trump ended that. Like America loves sports, and presidents used to be like exemplify that almost.
We used to be a proper country.
Yeah. So after this
we should be frothing with Biden right now.
After this tennis match, there was a really interesting couple of scenes that happened, or they tried to develop more character relationships, right? Like Jenna Elfman and Josh Gad have the scene in the kitchen of the White House where Jenna Elfman is making food, making a salad, and Josh Gad is doing, you know, his physical comedy of trying to sneak in candy into a salad. And, like, they almost have this relationship that's almost too, like, as opposed to Becca and Emily's relationship, Skip and Emily's relationship is the exact opposite. They're almost too close. Like, there's a very intimate kiss on the head that I just paused the TV and looked at it for a little while, like, oh, I didn't like that. That was very much it was like very maternal, which is nice, but like with a man in his 30s, not as cute.
There's an editing choice in this scene that I was hoping was going to play out different, and it's when Skip is making the candy salad. He reaches his hand into a jar of M&Ms, and then it cuts back to Emily, but you don't see him put the jar down.
No,
and then you see him
his hand gets stuck in it.
You see him walking out of frame, and his hand is below like where you're seeing on the screen. And I was hoping so badly that he was going to raise his hand up and it was going to be stuck in the jar of M&Ms. But
and just all the M&Ms would spill out over his arm.
Instead, it's just him holding a can of whipped cream and making like whipped cream salad dressing. Also funny, but oh man, I was really hoping he was going to get his hand stuck in a mason jar.
Yeah, and as Skip takes his advice from Emily, he goes into the South American trade deal and like basically throws a banger. Like, this is why Skip was in college for 7 years. He can throw a party, gather people together, allow them to find their spark, and we get a callback, y'all. We get a callback
Yes.
to the first pep-up speech in the movie. In the show, they use the same exact speech, just with different characters.
Hell
And
yeah. The script is only 24 pages long, and they copy and pasted one of them.
Secretly, Lena Dunham made this script.
It's a tone
yes,
poem.
Absolutely agreed. When they throw it back with Miguel still loves her to Michael still loves her from the beginning, and just seeing
so
how
good.
it comes full circle. Skip is he's a people person, and it's him finding his strength here. And I just love him and a bunch of foreign leaders getting ripshit drunk in like a White House meeting room. I love finding out that DeSoto's middle name is Feliz Navidades.
That was questionable in so many ways.
Oh, God. What a
was-
choice.
It's a lazy joke, but
Yeah.
I chuckled.
But like while this is all happening, Becca and Emily like sort of reunite and discuss, like, they come to, a peak. They do this multiply this press conference. They start disagreeing just to disagree, and Emily is like, "What the hell is wrong with you, Becca?" And Becca just says, "Hey, I'm not perfect. I'm pregnant." And we don't address it. It's just, okay, these two people know what's up. Cool. Just putting a nice little bow on this episode. Bill Pullman, the President Gilchrist, goes in to get this vote. The Brazilian president is once again being like, "You suck, you're not going to get the votes." There was another one-liner that was amazing that I forget. But they all tell the Brazilian president to suck it. They vote, and the trade agreement pulls through. And to celebrate, thousands upon thousands of American dollars were spent so that the president and his family could go to a pizza parlor and enjoy a nice slice on the town. But the episode doesn't stop there.
A totally common thing for a president to be able to do.
Yeah, the episode doesn't stop there, y'all, because in a post-credit scene, NBC decides to anger thousands by showing Jay Leno making fun of the entire...
The once again host of The Tonight Show.
Like, for those who don't know...
Round 2, baby.
Yeah,
Jay all day.
So, a little bit of lore of the podcast. I'm a gigantic Conan O'Brien fan.
Me too.
I've loved Conan O'Brien since they used to show his replays on Comedy Central. So when Conan O'Brien got the late night show, I lost my damn mind because I was like, finally, the man got what he deserved. Jay Leno is a scumbag. Him and his hoarding car tendencies can go shove it somewhere else.
Jay Leno, friend of the pod, Leno.
Jay Leno can take his rare car collection and shove it up his ass.
Oh my god. I think we jumped ahead into the rant wheel.
Nope.
Oh god, years of packet writing down the drain.
So
I know Leno will never hire me now.
But for those who don't know, when Conan O'Brien got it, he had some trouble with ratings because the then president of NBC was just like, we can't get rid of Jay Leno, so we're going to have him after Conan O'Brien. And then there was some negotiating. There are so many podcasts about this issue that you should go and listen to that I've spent way too much time listening to. But Jay Leno said, I want to take my job back. Screw off Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien ended up having an amazingly successful career regardless of Jay Leno's attempts to thwart him and his jealousy. But this was also right when Jay Leno came back to NBC and they were like, oh, our ratings sort of suck with Jay Leno again, so we need to pump him up as this funny guy that the president is even laughing at and Skip is even laughing at them being made fun of. Other than my rant, what did you guys like about this end credit scene?
I really like the button joke from Skip on here where Leno's clearly digging into him, like mocking him, saying, like, and Skip's moving back into the White House, and on behalf of all late night comics everywhere, we say thank you, and Skip just, like, under his breath going, you're welcome.
With a mouthful of M&M salad.
He has such an optimistic view of the world, and I don't know, I think that button line is really cute from him.
Yeah, that's sort of the end of the episode. Were there any other things that we loved about this episode?
Man got hit in chest with ball and fell down.
Man
That was
take-
real. That was real funny.
Man take 2 shot of ball to jugular playing sport.
Yeah. I have to call out, there were some great character actors that just appeared in this pilot that I have not watched another episode of the show, but I would love to just see, like, Carlos Lacamara just playing the Panamanian president for one episode. I was just like, love seeing him. Paula Newsome as the news rep. Mary Pat Gleason just as a bit role. Like, I bet she's in the show a lot more because she's the presidential assistant. That's her character name. But, like, my jaw dropped because I was like, oh shit, like, NBC went and just got people to make this pilot as successful as they could hopefully make it.
They got Jay Leno.
Oh yeah, that one was in-house, but he still probably charged his full rate.
As he should. We're pro-union here.
So what about, we talked a little bit about things we love. What about some wait a minute moments in the show? I think there was one in particular that caused us all a little pause. Max, was there any one that was on your mind while you watched this?
I need to take a page of inspiration from John Lovett's podcast, Love It or Leave It, and I need to spin my rant wheel for a moment. Can I get a wheel sound, Rich?
Oh, way better. Ding, 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 ding,
Wow.
ding, ding.
A fantastic lip trill from Jeff Kurbis.
Holy shit.
Wow, it landed on how Skip and Elder Cunningham from Book of Mormon are the exact same character. What the hell is wrong with this?
Oh, damn. I was really hoping for presidential policy misconceptions.
All right, here's my biggest issue with 1600 Penn as a whole, and I know it's developed by Gad in part, but it's just a copy-paste of his Tony-nominated role from the Book of Mormon. For those who have not seen the show and aren't familiar, in it, Gad plays Elder Arnold Cunningham, who was like the black sheep of his church mission to Uganda to try and convert people to the Church of Latter-day Saints. In it, he is this buffoon who angers his partner to the point of leaving, and he's told that he needs to man up. That's the exact same thing as the Find Your Spark moment from 1600 Penn. Much like how in 1600 Penn, he leads this chant to encourage everyone to be pro-American and boost his dad to victory. In Book of Mormon, he basically finds ways to preach the Book of Mormon to the people of Uganda by using references from Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, and things he knows. Even though his methods are a little bit unorthodox, he's such a people person that he finds a way to connect with these people and ends up converting everyone and saving the day. In 1600 Penn, we see the same scene play out in the boardroom with all of the Latin American leaders, where he just uses his personality, his ability to connect with people to, again, in a backhanded way that shouldn't work, save the day. So many of the way that he says lines and his physicality are super reminiscent of the way he draws on words in Book of Mormon. And I think my biggest issue with 1600 Penn is that it relies so much on him just recycling this character instead of diving down deep and finding out what other directions he could play with as an actor.
Amazing. I love that a lot.
That was very well put together. My wait a minute
want
moment.
You want another wheel spin? Give us a wheel spin.
No, I don't need a wheel spin. I'm just going to say there were a concerning number of Asian fetish jokes in this pilot that I just want to talk to someone about because
what on earth?
They concerned me. That's all I need to say. I don't have anything as eloquent as Max. Rich, were there any wait a minute moments for you?
Yeah, give me a wheel spin, Jeff. I'm going on the rant wheel for this one. Ding, 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 ding. It has landed on the M&M salad from the last scene. Okay, all right. First of all, you see Josh Gad grab a bowl that is maybe 2 gallons in capacity. It is huge. It is a popcorn bowl. It is fucking giant. You see him grab 1 handful of M&Ms. You see him grab 2 handfuls of M&Ms. Okay, great. He's going to eat these out of a comically large bowl. He grabs a can of whipped cream and sprays a little bit in there. All right. So this is like maybe a couple ounces of M&Ms and and whipped cream. Max already knows where I'm going with this. The next scene, you see a completely to the top filled bowl of just a white and weirdly colored it looks like one of those weird like Midwestern ambrosia salads or whatever, like the ones that are like made with like apples and whipped cream and mayonnaise or whatever. But it is to the top. It's called fucking continuity. We saw how much he actually put in there. What do you got, Max?
It's a different candy salad, Rich. The scene when he's making it in the kitchen with Emily happens before he crashes the trade meeting, and then the one you see him eating in bed is in a post-credit scene, which can be any
No,
number of
I'm
days
talking
later.
about right before the trade meeting. Right before the trade meeting, he's walking through the Oval Office with a giant bowl filled. It's to the brim. It's a 2-gallon size bowl.
That's ridiculous. For those who don't know, I do have a certification in nutrition, and I was just abhorred as far as Josh Gad's diet as a whole. We need to go and take him to a doctor. Any other wait-a-minute moments, y'all? Otherwise, we do have an in-flight question.
We do?
Yes, we do. So our in-flight question today comes from Instagram. They asked, we see President Dale Gilchrist play two different sports in this show, Highlight as well as tennis. What sport or athletic endeavor would you like to see a president compete in that you would watch on primetime television?
Jousting.
Shout out to whoever actually has watched 1600 Penn prior to this episode.
I will say I did watch this when it came on. It did cross over with my interests in college. It was very much like, hey, I want the West Wing but funny. And then here's the Jack Black type character.
Yeah. Max, what about you?
Oh man, I am going to go with the great presidential paintball match.
Oh man, you don't test Dave Gilchrist or Dale Gilchrist on it because he served in Desert Storm.
All right, so I have to go. This is the cynic in me. I want to see them all compete at American Ninja Warrior. I really want it. I want it so badly.
Yeah.
I want it to happen. NBC, make this happen. Instead of, like the State of the Union, the president gets to talk as long as he wants based off of the number of obstacles he completes. It's 10 minutes per obstacle.
Are you saying you want a primetime version of the presidential fitness test
I was
we all
just
had to do in middle school?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. This is the new presidential fitness test. We will make every other country either so intimidated or so assured of themselves that no losers in this one.
Well, when The Rock becomes president, we're going to see it.
Dwayne Johnson, 2024. Hard as a rock.
Thanks again for that question. I think we had a lot of fun enjoying it, and I hope you are imagining what sport you'd like to see international leaders performing. And if you have an idea, leave us a comment on our next Instagram post, maybe even on this YouTube video or on the pod itself. Let's talk a little bit about the legacy of the show. There's not much. All 13 episodes of this show did see the light of day, unlike some other failed NBC shows. And if you are wild enough, there is a DVD that is available for purchase if you can find it. Just to give you an idea of how hard it is to find this show streaming, it's not the most difficult one we've done, but NBC has a streaming platform called Peacock, and they choose to show Father of the Bride on it rather than this show. So
They sure
take
do.
that as you will. But Max, I think there's a little bit more of a legacy that you might want to share with us.
Absolutely. I found the most upsetting photo I've ever seen in a trade about a show being picked up to order. This is a photo that was used by Josh Gad's reps on the purchase of the 1600 Penn pilot from NBC. I'm also going to make sure you can see this on social media, but for everyone here right now,
No.
Oh, why?
look
What?
closer at him.
Oh my god.
Look
That's
closer at him.
horrifying.
I
That was the
chimed
trade
in with,
photo.
haven't you people ever heard of taking a picture of Josh Gad?
That was the trade photo used by a guy coming off of a Tony nomination for the hottest show of the season. It is so upsetting to me.
He looks like every pop punk singer mashed into one person. What happened?
He's doing like magician hands in it.
Yeah.
It's really bothersome to me.
Yeah, that guy is definitely performing at this weekend's We Were Young festival in Las Vegas.
Hey
Looking
Jeff,
exactly like
any
that.
any Emmy nominations for this?
No, there were not even a Razzie nomination for this show. This
Oh,
show
this
comes
got
out
this got
with
ignored.
no legacy. And
Moving
with
on
that,
then.
but we talked about it, so you know what? Good on you, 1600 Penn. You're within the first 100 episodes of the TV pilot's license. That's how important you are to us.
The first 1,600 episodes.
If you want to find the show, I found it on Google Play, but you can find it on YouTube. You can find it other places for like $1.99 if you want to
Yeah, I
rent it.
paid $2 on Apple TV for it.
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna ask Max and Rich. You had to pay for this episode. There was a season pass. It was a little bit cheaper than buying every single episode. Would you see this show happening today, or would you continue watching it?
So no, this could not be made today. And it's
So-
not
so
even because it's not even because of the show itself. I just think that this optimism in politics and family died
Yeah.
really swiftly.
Boy.
Or, in November of 2016, we've become really just cynical in our outlook towards it. I think it's going to be a really long time before there can be such a positive, feel-good look at a first family on TV again. I think that's the issue with political shows in general, is that their lifespan can be really disrupted by current events. I think back on another short-lived NBC political show that aired more recently, Mr. Mayor, which is a show where I love everyone involved in it. I love Ted Danson. I love Holly Hunter. I love Bobby Moynihan. But in that show, Ted Danson's character plays a billionaire, like billboard exec real estate developer who runs for mayor of Los Angeles. And unfortunately, now you have people like fucking Rick Caruso who take all of the joy out of that premise. And I think that's just the gambit with political comedy, is that it cycles so short-lived. That being said, I laughed a lot at this pilot. And I could go onto my Apple TV and for just $7 more, get the other 12 remaining episodes of this show. And I absolutely would love to watch the rest of season 1 of 1600 Penn. I think it is very funny. I want to see where these characters develop and these relationships go. I am absolutely in favor of watching more of this show.
Okay. All right.
Rich, what about you, man?
I don't think I'm giving this one a second episode. I do really adore I really enjoy what Josh Gad is trying for here. I do really appreciate that character because I grew up with all these Jack Black movies. I grew up with John Belushi movies. I grew up with Chris Farley. I could see what he's trying to do. It is so disconnected from our current political sphere. And I think the politics of it actually comes in maybe third or fourth most important in the show. This could have easily taken place as the stakes of Parks and Rec or something like that, where it's just being a mayor of a small town or something like that, and having this particular type of you don't really get the gravity of the presidential situation of it all. So that said, I think I'm not giving this one another go. As Max said, the respectability of politics and actually viewing the presidential seat as something that can be enjoyed or mocked in a way that is kind of fun and charming is completely dead. It is so thank you to Donald Trump for ruining comedy and our sense of whimsy. And yeah, I just don't think I don't think this is gonna make it in our current sphere. That said, Veep came out the same year you said, Max. That's a wildly different show. That is higher stakes. That is more anger, more justified anger. And I think they do a significantly better job of it. And I definitely think that the people who worked on this show wish they wrote Veep instead, because a lot of things had to be held back, and it is not that funny or charming anymore.
All right, so I'll end us. I don't think the show could be made today. I think we're all in agreement on that. There have been things that have happened that we just can't come back from.
Mm-hmm.
Weird enough, I checked Nate Silver's 538 for the chances of me watching another episode of this show, and it says
be careful, he's wrong a lot.
It says there's a 0% chance, and let me explain his reasoning.
Don't leave me on an island here, guys.
So, what I would say is, one, if this show was just on Peacock and I didn't have to pay for every single episode, there's much more of a shot that I would watch another episode of it to see if they figured their stuff out. But two, there's just too many good shows out there for me to waste on this show. I will say one thing, and Max is holding up a general election
Max is icing us out.
I want to actually...
Midterms are coming up. Everybody go vote.
I wanted to say this. If you decide to use 20 minutes of your time, go and register to vote. And go and vote in your local election.
It doesn't take 20 minutes either. It's great.
Yeah, it doesn't. And you know what? Vote for someone who doesn't have to win a tennis match in order to make a trade deal accomplishable. Go and find your local resources. We actually are probably going to post some in the description for this episode. And from there, we are, because you know what? Voting's important. So make sure that you're voting. And with that, in addition to those resources, I'd love to be able to tell people where we can find the two of you.
Absolutely. So you can find me on all things social media at Maxwell Sing. You can find original comedy sketches from myself and Rich on TikTok at Dadwagon Comedy.
You can find me on the ballot for mayor of Los Angeles under Richard Inman. I'm running on the Pizza Party platform, and you can also find me on Instagram at Damn That's Rich.
And you can find me... most likely with my hand stuck in a jar of M&Ms. But you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at RunJeffRun. You can find the TV Pilots License on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Pilots License. If you have a question about the show or for our next episode, you can email us at tvpilotslicense@gmail.com or give us a call at 213-290-1713. Make sure to watch out for our Instagram for sneak peeks of upcoming episodes and to have your question featured on an episode itself. Make sure to find us on all of the different podcasting platforms. Leave us a review. Subscribe if you like our voices enough in your ears. And you know what? With the plane landed and the seatbelt sign off, we look forward to flying the bright skies of the TV world with you again soon. And until then, stay brave.
Thank you for
Everybody
landing
go
your
vote.
first one. Go vote. Go vote.
Go vote.
Go vote. Goodbye.